Praise Him. My name is Terry Brewer. I'm coming to you with the updates again about my grandmother and about her murder at Broward Health. Um, don't mistake my smile to be anything else but just that within the midst of the storm that I'm in now. Being able to be grateful to God with the situation that I'm currently in. I ask for your prayers, um, and I'm continue to. For those who want the update, I am continuing to look for attorneys, individuals to assist me with this situation on a federal level. As far as the update with my grandmother, I have reached out to the Fort Lauderdale Police Department. I have reached out to federal agencies that can initiate investigations. I have reached out to Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick. I have reached out to Commissioner Pam Beasley-Pittman, and all have been giving me the runaround. All of them have been giving me the runaround. Again, all have been giving me the runaround. Some don't want to even receive my grandmother's autopsy report, even in put it in their hands to show basically that she was murdered. There's no doubt about it that she was murdered. Yeah, she was murdered. So that is my update. For those who have tried to reach out to me on Cash App, that for some reason has become an issue, and it is TBCS360. That's my Cash App. T as in Tom, B as in boy, C as in cat, S as in Sam, 360, and that's my Cash App. So for those who are not able to, because there's a barcode, a QR code that I've placed on the website, which is www.soscongresswomansheilacm.com. You can also find the same material on www.soscongressmanhastings.com because it was initially sent to Congressman Hastings. But either way, again, that is the update. I can only express my extreme disappointment. I don't know what else to express but my extreme disappointment. As you see fatigue, you have to see fatigue over my face. If you look at the other videos, it's something completely different than now. Even me speaking is completely different than now because there's no other words for what's going on. They are definitely trying to cover it up. Anytime you hear of a person passing, and again, to Congresswoman, to the commissioner, Pam Beasley-Pittman, who I met at Six Trunk Festival, which was in February. Okay, when you have tit for tat back and forth, when you're trying to make a phone call to them, and then they're calling you back, and you're trying to make a phone call to them, but then again, she's telling you that she wants to sit down with you because this conversation, this is a major big deal. So she wants to sit down and make sure she gets every understanding because she really cares and she's very concerned about the situation. When you have a flyer that is given to you, well, not given to you because Commissioner Beasley-Pittman did not even want to take the flyer in her hand. As a matter of fact, it was another, I believe it was an aide of hers that she literally told me to give it to, and I didn't know who she was at the time. But literally, I was passing out flyers, and I said, help support, racial discrimination. My grandmother was killed at Broward Health. She was murdered at Broward Health. Oh, give that to him. She didn't want it. in her hands, and I didn't know who she was at the time. Um, that's just an example. Um, it's another example at even Broward Health. Me going straight to back to Broward Health, dealing with the nurses, or there's a head nurse that's on the floor, intensive care unit. Me literally having a direct conversation with her. Me literally um, asking about the 12 hours, and her pulling up my grandmother's record, her making the statement, "Oh wow, this was 2 years ago. She was murdered. I'm coming to you now. I'm trying to tell you, and then I'm just getting the authority to do it because I had power of attorney 15 years ago for 15 years, excuse me. But once my grandmother passed, the power of attorney basically it was not in existence. It was voided, and then it went to my mother. So my mother had to then give me the permission to seek legal relief in whatever case. But either way, even Broward Health, they did not want to have a discussion. Period. They put it on the doctors. They either put it on the nurse. They didn't want, and she didn't want to see the autopsy. She was looking back at my grandmother's stats, basically on the machine, and said, "Oh, everything looked fine except like it showed nothing. It basically didn't show that she was in distress." And so I asked her, I said, "Well, ma'am, something's not right because she cannot be in distress." And then I said, "You want to see the autopsy report?" The autopsy report says that 3 sections of her lungs were collapsed. The doctor had already told us when we went there, when she had passed, that she had already had a massive heart attack. And then the pathologist also mentioned in the autopsy that her breathing pathway had, I'm converting it to ounces, 6 ounces of frothy liquid, thick liquid in her breathing pathway. That don't develop in 10 minutes. And she's in an intensive care unit. The intensive care unit that has one-on-one nursing, a nurse to patient ratio. So for every patient, for one patient in the intensive care unit, each patient has one nurse assigned to them. That nurse has no other job but that one person. So in 12 hours, the question is, in 12 hours, how do you call me in the last 5 minutes of her death? She had had a massive heart attack. The 6 ounces had already built up in her lungs. The 3 sections of her lungs had already collapsed. But you call me the last 5 minutes of the 12 hours that she was suffering. And I'm trying to give it to Brown. Ma'am, would you like to see the autopsy? Oh, no, thank you. This is the autopsy report. By the way, the same report that the autopsy that the family had to pay for, because the Broward medical examiner refused to do an examination. This is because of racial discrimination. Period. It's retaliation because of a racial discrimination claim. It's almost like every time you make a claim, and because you make a claim as a citizen, whether it works or doesn't work, whether they're found in favor of you or whether they're not, after that, you still got to deal with the retaliation. You still have to deal with organizations that are connected to the city, connected to the government, connected to any other agencies that you complained against, and watch them disappear and say nothing to you. Watch them pretend as if, "Oh, no, we don't know who you," but I'm still a taxpayer. I'm still a citizen. So no matter what I said, no matter what the complaint is or the complaint was, there's still an obligation. The city, county, state, and federal level, there's an obligation. And so when those individuals in those particular places decide not to heed to a person's cry to say, "Look, we're being retaliated against." This was before my grandmother's death. And to even notice that it's almost like you know how we hear about the 9/11 particular thing is how certain people were warned before time. So they were already told in 2016 that we were getting retaliation. My grandmother finally was murdered in 2021. That's still connected to the same exact thing. So at the end of the day, I just wanted to come on and express some type of give some type of expression or opinion to what's happening, what's going on, where things are. They're at a complete standstill. I talked about Commissioner Pam Beasley's office as far as their non-communication. The same thing with Congresswoman Sheila CM. It's actually worse with Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick's office. It's worse. I have all the recordings. And then they try to play that they forgot particular things that happened, or it's hard to reach the chief of staff. Even when you've emailed the new chief of staff 8 times, and you're forwarding the same email over again about a death that's within their district. No, at least a sit down. They don't even want to sit down and talk to you. Talk to me. They don't even want to sit down and talk. Because literally, I promise you, the information that they will hear, they are obligated to act off of it. To say, look, this is what occurred. I have the notes. I have everything. I have the dates, the times. I have everything that's lined out. If anybody knows me, y'all know how I am about times and dates. It's all lined out. People do not want to get it. They don't want to print out. I have the print out conversation of the nurse the night before that was talking about my grandmother going through therapy. I have the printout of the Broward Health stating that we basically put my grandmother on hospice. She was never on hospice. Never on hospice. They covered it up. Nobody wants this information in their hands. Nobody wants to sit down and say, let's talk, let me see what's going on to my constituent. Nobody as in Congresswoman or the commissioner. They don't want it. They don't want to sit down. And they have been extending the conversation over and over again. They have been actually putting it down to, how do I say it? Basically one of their lower tier employees. So this is how it is. It's like plausible deniability kind of thing. You keep pushing it back down to particular sections and say, oh, okay, she'll deal with it or they'll deal with it, because you don't want to hear the information. So you want them, what they would do, they would have them to screw up the claim, or whatever the problem is, and they'll extend it, or they'll say, oh, well, she's in training, or that person's in training, or they didn't know. These are the particular signs that have been going on, that has been happening for years now. I can say for years. It may be impossible to believe the situation that people can be in or be involved in when you make a complaint against a government. So I won't go into the being placed on the terrorist list. You guys can go back to those videos and see that if you wish. You can also shoot me a question. That's fine. I have no problem looking at those particular things and responding to them. But I just wanted to break silence for a moment, so someone can at least know where things are now in this particular moment. Forgive me if I'm a little under the weather, but again, I am definitely mentally fatigued. I'm tired. There are a lot more things that has happened that has occurred that I have not broke my silence on yet. and there is evidence to those particular things. You know, you do not know the power and the reach that people have until you get into it. Whether it is where you think you think you may be taking your diabetic medication, and it's not your medication. It's not, well, it's not the medication that you're supposed to be taking, or it's like more of a placebo medication where it's not really the same. It for those who are diabetics, for those who are on particular medications, that you know what it is, how it is, what it does, and when something's wrong. You know, some people even know when they're taking a generic versus a brand medication. Um, but you know, in that time frame that you've been complaining, racial discrimination, and then people being murdered and stuff in this, in a certain time frame, when this has occurred for a long time, extended period of time. Yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt. So I just choose to um, try to keep the focus on a particular thing than versus talking about everything that is going on. Talking about how, for some reason, people can't even do cash apps. People can't send me cash apps. The cash app is freezing now, so they can't. People can't send me donations. For the PayPal acted up with closing the account, or the account even freezing on me, making it seem as if it was something that I did wrong. I can go. The list can go on, but you know when something's wrong when, you know, even the Social Security. You know, I if you've heard the videos before, Social Security changed my address more than, it had to be more than 12 times in 1 year. And for those who understand Social Security, you can't, for the most part, I think I couldn't just make the phone call. I had to keep going to the back to the office to change the address back, to ask why is my address being changed. So it's almost like somebody literally doing small, it's like small little minor things, but it's so many small little minor things that they actually want you to lose your mind, period. So I will leave that be. I just wanted to come on, continue to ask for your prayers. I want to thank you for your prayers. I want to say how grateful that I am to be even here now talking about it. Trust me, I am grateful. For those who push the emphasis sometimes on gratefulness, thinking that an individual may not be grateful, you have to walk a mile. Gotta walk a mile in their shoes. You have to know the individual first. I am grateful. Being grateful does not stop the dreams, aspirations. It don't stop it. I can be grateful and still have aspirations. And having aspirations, there is a certain amount of being persistency that you have to have in order to get what you need to get. It's a grind. So just because it's almost like grinding before you have money versus a person that has money. So if you grinding and you got money, it seems more positive than if you grinding if you don't have money but you're still trying to make it. But yet those two are still the same. Before that person had money, they were still grinding just to get it. So because I'm in a position that I'm in, as if I don't deserve to grind or be passionate or to seek, you know, higher levels, whether it's in my education, my career, or any of those particular situations, because I'm in welfare. Yeah, man, y'all want me out of welfare. I want to be out of welfare. Help me, help you. Get me out. But the problem is that this particular situation is far gone and far spent. And for those, again, I apologize if you do not know what I'm speaking of. Please, you would just have to go back to the other videos. I just wanted to briefly give an update on what's going on in the situation here. I'm good, but it's only, I'm good to a point. I am baffled. I'm baffled that any attorney so far now is literally turned away. Um, I'm baffled for individuals to almost tell me that I'm just baffled. Yeah, I'm baffled. It's a whole different level. Um, I don't know where God will place me after this particular moment of enlightenment, if you understand what I'm saying. So, because it's a lot of information that you're learning, a lot of things that I've learned, and you try to deal with the information, still live, you have to live your daily life and dealing with the enormous amount of information that may come to you at one time, or situation that you have to deal with, stay afloat, still keep kicking, still keep fouling, then look for more information, continue to do everything that you're doing while technology for some reason is not working as well as it would work. Um, so that is it. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Once you review those other videos, if you choose to review the other videos, I ask you to, if the story that I'm dealing with doesn't make sense, give 2 cents. If what I'm dealing with doesn't make sense, give 2 cents. I promise you that at the end of the day, it can be anybody. It's not just me. And I'm almost positive, because of the administration, the presidential administration we just left out of, that it has been a lot more people. Why people are not aware of it yet? Why is it not? I can't tell you that. But I can tell you, with the information or the things that's going on around here, and when I say things that are going on, I mean, like me, I could put it in your paper. I mean, I could put the paper in your face and say, look, see, this is what's going on. See, this is what's happening. You see this? I'm one of those people, I don't have to just give my opinion. You can read the facts and get the same opinion that I get at the end of the day. At the end, you will get that, well, something's not right. Something's wrong. You've made this many attempts to call the Congresswoman, and nobody, something's wrong. You can point it out to yourself, but at least if you've had a meeting with the individual, you can say, no, I met with them, but they were supposed to call me. I didn't meet with nobody yet. But I can tell you that people have falsely emailed me from one of the offices, pretending as if they just had an appointment with me, and we didn't have an appointment, to the point I had to call and say, why did I get an email as if I'm having an appointment with you and I didn't have one? So it's like, for their records that you don't see necessarily, or you would have never paid attention to it, but an email is coming to you. Thank you for the appointment. Thank you for what conversation did we make? Somebody is covering up their tracks, or people, not somebody, but people and multiple individuals are covering up their tracks. This happens all the time in smaller levels. And the only reason it has gotten to this point now, or to a major level, is because for some reason God has still, I can't tell you, you got to talk to him on that one. Because I don't think I should be here, to be honest with you. But that's just something I can't explain to why I'm still dealing with it. I can't explain to why I'm still moving in the direction of, pursuing my rights. I can't explain that. But what I can say is that when it comes to these particular agencies, that they definitely should have stepped in by now Um, the reason why they haven't stepped in is because these same federal agencies were called and they took it as a joke when when I called and I said, "Look, we're being retaliated against." This was just the city at first. Then it went to included Broward County. Then from Broward County, it included the state because the state got involved in particular situations and they ignored phone calls. Then it got involved with the federal agency because we're saying, "Hey, look, this is what's going on down here." Then they kicked cases back to the people that's kicking us. And I know I'm speaking around, it just is what it is. I'm just trying to speak on the current situation and give a little understanding of how I feel, give a little understanding of how anybody would go through this same thing, and how I'm almost sure others have gone through this, especially dealing with the Trump administration. It's the I don't Whenever it does release, and I pray to God that it is, whatever comes out of this, it's gonna be something. Yeah. If it ever does hit the public's ear, yeah, because there must have been a lot of people behind it because a lot of people knew that this person was not in proper uh, faculties and mentally to carry out their duties. Yeah, period. A lot of people. This is not far out for me to say because, again, for the voucher, my voucher had to go to Washington to be signed. My voucher was not going to be signed by my housing voucher. It wasn't going to be signed by the city or the count or the federal agencies, like local federal agencies. It had to go to the assistant secretary of housing to be signed. That is within the 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 presidential line of succession. I think that's how they say it because it definitely went to Ben Carson. It went to Ben Carson twice. So I can talk and say no, yeah, this man had an influence because he didn't want no Negroes to move into white areas. He didn't want his administration to sign off because I think I would have been the first person to have received this particular voucher. But because I'm continuing to pursue things, that's when things are a problem. If I call the office or an administration and say, "Look, what's going on?" I'm just finding out like 97% of what I literally wrote, typed, faxed, everything, 97% was omitted. Over 97% was omitted. They didn't even you can't make a decision if you've omitted 97%. It's almost like getting what is the percentage? It's there's a one of the tests where you get points just for saying your name. So it's like 3% of my entire claim was actually written written down and investigated. No. So when you give that information to these particular individuals, to Congresswoman Sheila Cherfilus-McCormick's office, and they don't act on it, there's nothing more that you can do but wait, continue to pursue what you're doing, pursue it federally, and if it's an individual that is in something or in a particular situation that you're trying to pursue your rights, I'd rather encourage you. I'm not talking about me, but encourage you. Keep doing what you need to do. Keep pursuing it. Stay strong, prayerful. Go to church. Get to the altar. Keep praying, and God is going to come through for you. I believe He's going to come through for you, and I just know that even within my grandmother's death, He's going to get the glory from it. So all things work together for those. and I definitely love them. So I thank you again for listening. You all stay blessed.